Another little Apple versus Microsoft, and this is I already have Mac versus PC accessibility, and I basically gave Windows the nod for that because Windows is the most commonly used, and thus it's the easiest to develop for in terms of adaptive technology. But when you come to basically, in order to use the adaptive technology, what do you need? And by adaptive technology, I mean things like a braille display, things like a note taker. Well, you need something to work them on, right? So you need a screen. So you need Windows, and you need a screen reader. How committed is Microsoft to accessibility? Now, a screen reader is a form of adaptive technology, but this is like it's like the base of a. It's like the foundation, you know. Without the screen reader, you can't use the computer if you can't see well enough to use the screen. So how committed is Microsoft to providing a screen reader for their members? What Microsoft has is a piece of software called Narrator. And Narrator... Oh boy, how do I say this? Narrator is garbage. Narrator really is garbage. I kid you not. There's actually a dialogue that comes up the second you start Narrator. It will say right in your face, this is not meant for everyday use. You need something more powerful. And what do you need? What do you need in order to get that something more powerful? Well, number one, you need a knowledge of how to install software. And number two, you need to pony up 500 big ones. No, I am not kidding. I'll say that again. $500. This is on top of the purchase you already made. And a relatively nice PC can run you about 800 bucks. So when all is said and done, you're paying $1,200. Excuse me. Apple, on the other hand, has the Mac Mini, and the Mac Mini does have a built-in speaker, but I would recommend using external speakers. So let's say you get, just a budget pair of external speakers for about 30 bucks and a keyboard for an additional 30 bucks, so that's 60. The computer itself is $799, and so just a fraction over 800 bucks, maybe somewhere between 800 and 850. And what do you get with Apple that you don't get with Microsoft for the same price? You get accessibility. You don't need to pay the additional 500 bucks. The reason is because there's a screen reader built into it. It's called VoiceOver. And VoiceOver is a technology that allows people without enough sight to see the screen to hear the screen, per se. And Apple has gone ahead and developed a full-blown screen reader that rivals this $500 package called JAWS that's available for the PC. And not only that, you don't have to install it. It's built right into the operating system. And the same is true in the portable space. Microsoft, and we'll get to the portable space in a moment, Microsoft, on the other hand, Apple has had a full-screen magnifier. In fact, you see it right now. You notice how the cursor's a lot bigger than normal? That's because I'm zoomed in. Microsoft has only recently caught up. In 2009, with Windows 7, starting in October, for those of you who did not have the opportunity to pick up the beta, you will have full-screen magnification. And this is something we've had in Macintosh since Panther. I'm not kidding. And for those of you who are not aware of it, Mac OS X Panther is version 10.3. It was out in 2003. So Microsoft is only caught up in 2009. What did they have before this? Well, they had a magnifier, but really, again, in order to get full use, you do need a full-screen magnifier, and a full-screen magnifier, 350 bucks. Okay? And what if you need both? If you'd prefer to have speech and magnification, you can have that. Again, on the Mac, it's all built in. You can have VoiceOver and the Zoom running at the same time. On Windows, you would need to pay, in total, roughly about $850. And this is on top. For the price of your magnifier and screen reader on Windows, you could buy a Mac Mini and have all that accessibility built in. Now, I'm not saying that the Mac is better, because there are some things that Windows does better that the Mac does not. Primarily because, truth be told, Windows has been the accessible platform for a lot longer. But at the same time, they've never gone ahead and actually done anything that rivals JAWS or VoiceOver themselves. They were going to, but the rumor is that Freedom Scientific, who develops JAWS, was going to sue them. That aside, at the same time, I mean, they finally updated, for low vision users, they finally updated the magnifier. But again, 6 years. 6 years, I mean, why, you know? Now, if there's something that I'm not getting here, if there's something I'm not familiar with, please point me to it, but do so in a friendly manner. But to my knowledge, the Mac has had a truly usable magnifier out of the box for at least 6 years longer than Microsoft has. And on top of that, like I said, we've been getting into the mobile space. The iPhone and more recently the iPod Touch 3rd generation. Both of them have a built-in screen reader and full screen magnifier aboard at no extra cost. So let's say you're in the market for a smartphone. Let's say you want a relatively nice device. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, since I'm on Verizon, we'll take the HTC Touch Pro 2 for Verizon. 200 on contract. The iPhone 3GS, also 200 on contract. The iPhone 3GS has a built-in, it has VoiceOver, and it has a magnifier built in. With the Windows mobile device, you need to get an additional piece of software, which is going to run you an additional $250. Now, there was one exception, and that is AT&T. AT&T allows you to go ahead and get your device, and they will discount the price of a software package called Mobile Speak Pocket. They will discount it down to $80. But at the same time, you still have the hassle of installing it. And for those of us that are not too comfortable with software, I mean, you know, installing on Windows is one thing. Installing on Windows Mobile is another, because you need to essentially feed the software to your mobile device through a software package called ActiveSync. And essentially what goes on is you get your mobile device set up. You need to spend more time configuring it, whereas with Apple, all you need is some sighted assistance to go into the preferences, activate VoiceOver, set it up so that when you press the home button 3 times, that toggles VoiceOver on and off. You're good to go. So I think just in general, this is just my opinion, so please take it as such, but I do think there's a fair amount of fact to it as well. As far as I know, now this is just me again, as far as I know, nobody asked for that screen reader that's on the iPhone or the Mac. Apple just did it, because they want more market share, and people with disabilities, heck, open market share there, you know? I think Microsoft is trying, but I think they're doing it at a much slower pace. Apple has done what Microsoft needs to do, which is to provide accessibility out of the box. Accessibility should not have to be an extra purchase. And I just think that in general, Apple's more committed to making their devices accessible. Because not only is the iPod Touch accessible, but so is the iPod Shuffle and the iPod Nano. They all use VoiceOver in a sense, though that the iPod Touch is the only one of the 3 to actually have the full screen reader. The other 2 just use voice prompts. But at the same time, I mean, that's more than one can say for Microsoft's Zune. As far as I know, the Zune has no accessibility whatsoever. I mean, yes, the main menu's nice and large. Once you get beyond that, you can't see a darn thing. So I just think in general, Apple's a lot more committed to accessibility than Microsoft, and I think Microsoft definitely needs to continue making the efforts they have with the Magnifier in Windows 7, but they need to work at a much quicker pace. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome. Insults against me will get you blocked, and have a nice day.